Tavsiye, öğüt.
Advice. My teacher gave me good advice before the exam.
Öğretmenim sınavdan önce bana iyi tavsiyeler verdi.
I asked my friend for advice about moving abroad.
Yurt dışına taşınma konusunda arkadaşımdan tavsiye istedim.
She followed the doctor's advice and rested for days.
Doktorun tavsiyesine uydu ve günlerce dinlendi.
I got kicked out of the dining room just when your father was about to give me some good dating advice.
I mean, when you get advice from doctors and specialists, I know you don't like to listen, but does he?
Do you know a number of a doctor I could call for advice, or a nurse even?
Ryan, please don't listen to Caitlin's advice on how to get the fastest reputation and how to never end up with a serious boyfriend.
The money like you have, or the Downton Abbey old world advice, but I know how to have a good time.
With all due respect, Monsieur Condy, I didn't seek you out for your advice.
I wouldn't consider that sound advice, given the mess Control left us with.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer that question on the grounds that it might tend to incriminate me.
He poisons my lord with evil advice, whispered in his ear, blackening my name.
In my younger and more vulnerable years, my father gave me some advice that I've been turning over in my mind ever since.
Sonuç, son.
Conclusion. We reached the conclusion after a long study session.
Uzun bir çalışma oturumundan sonra bir sonuca vardık.
Her conclusion about the plan surprised everyone in class.
Onun planla ilgili sonucu sınıftaki herkesi şaşırttı.
The team wrote a clear conclusion at the end.
Ekip, yazının sonunda açık bir sonuç yazdı.
The conclusion of this scene, with Mr. Brown appearing in the station house to slyly intimidate Alicia.
Upon its successful conclusion, not one of you, in later years, will look back without a surge of pride.
I've reconsidered my stance, and I've come to the conclusion that it would be a very good thing if I backed your candidacy, provided.
Nine of us look at the same information and arrive at the exact same conclusion. It's the duty of the 10th man to disagree.
What I'm hearing, and this is a quote, the president is looking for a swift, painless, and victorious conclusion to the war.
To read this conclusion from Dr. Rasher's meticulous records.
After exercising considerable reflection, I came to the conclusion that it was you.
Our conclusion was that, scientifically speaking, it was not a sound conception.
But I have spent more time than anyone investigating Mr. Van Meegeren, and I've come to the conclusion that he is innocent of these charges.
The methodologies, the statistical protocols that the researchers use in order to arrive at their conclusion.
Gelişme, geliştirme.
Development. The team's development helped the project finish faster tonight.
Ekipteki gelişme, projenin bu akşam daha hızlı bitmesini sağladı.
Her development in English made her more confident at school.
İngilizce'deki gelişmesi okulda ona daha çok özgüven kazandırdı.
Good development of the city depends on people and planning.
Şehrin iyi gelişmesi insanlar ve planlamaya bağlıdır.
There's been a surprising development in the sanctuary escape story that we told you about last week.
So this is a bit of an awkward conversation, but there's been a troubling development.
Even should they engage in piracy, their research and development time,
their catch-up time,
would put them back, George.
Yes, I suppose one day I shall be obliged to make the trip to Earth with her for the sake of her natural development.
Anyone that has any ideas for economic development that they want to share, floor is now open.
Now, to recap quickly, we are just getting details on what appears to be a major development.
Max will continue his development, and who knows how long it will be before he achieves success.
How much insight, how much know-how will he bring to those sensitive subjects of a young girl's development?
Paul doesn't like to brag, but the truth of the matter is he built his first development himself.
Now, in the newest development, sources close to the investigation say a review of the entire tape.
Oldukça, adilce.
Fairly. The test was fairly easy for most of the students.
Sınav çoğu öğrenci için oldukça kolaydı.
She treated everyone fairly during the group project last week.
Geçen hafta grup projesinde herkese adilce davrandı.
The room was fairly small but comfortable for our short stay.
Oda oldukça küçüktü ama kısa konaklamamız için rahattı.
Even the very notion of conservation, environmental issues, those weren't even in the vocabulary until fairly recently, you know?
I'm a recent film school graduate with fairly disappointed middle-class parents.
The ACL, and what this shows is that he's had a fairly significant, a fairly serious injury.
So after we bring the girls' drinks, in fairly rapid order, but not obvious, we order 2 Miranda shots.
We fairly hope have lost their quality, and that this day shall change all griefs and quarrels.
Mr. Ellis, you agree, do you not, that as a colored man you could not fairly pass judgment on Mr. Spell?
I'm fairly certain, but I want one final meeting between them all tomorrow, and we must find a really...
I know a fairly attractive woman who spends fortunes sponsoring the careers of talented young jazz musicians.
And I'm fairly certain that whoever gave out the gift bags at the awards gave tablets that were preloaded with spy software.
I suspect that by outrageous you mean unexpectedly offensive, and the truth is you have been fairly offensive, but also...
Yaralamak, zarar vermek.
Injure. Be careful. The sharp glass can injure your hand easily.
Dikkat et, keskin cam elini kolayca yaralayabilir.
She did injure her leg in the running race last week.
Geçen hafta koşu yarışında bacağını yaraladı.
A small mistake can injure your chances at getting a promotion.
Küçük bir hata terfi şansınızı yaralayabilir.
A robot may not injure a human being, or through inaction cause a human being to come to harm.
MacDonald, how can a benevolent God allow the branch of one of his own trees to crack and injure an innocent child?
If you do, we will receive a large shock on our end of the line, which could injure our workers.
Story time! Mert loved basketball, but his team always lost important games. Before the final game of the season, the old coach called the players into the locker room to give them some advice. He said, "My advice is simple. Trust each other and stay calm, even when we are behind." During the first half, the other team played better, and the score was 40-25. Some players started to panic, but Mert remembered the coach's advice and told everyone to breathe and focus. In the third quarter, there was a sudden stop when one player fell and did not move, and everyone worried he might injure his leg. Luckily, the doctor checked him and said he did not injure anything seriously, so the game continued. After that moment, Mert saw a big change in his team's development on the court. Their passing showed the development of their skills, and their defense was stronger than before. They played fairly, followed the rules, and did not complain when the referee made a difficult call. Mert scored a 3-point shot in the last minute, and the crowd cheered loudly. When the final whistle blew, the score was 68-67, and they had won by a fairly small difference. In the quiet after the game, Mert tried to reach a conclusion about why they finally succeeded. His conclusion was that real success comes from patient development, honest and fairly played games, and listening to good advice.
Müzikle ilgili, müzikal gösteri.
Musical. She enjoys going to the musical with her friends on weekends.
Hafta sonları arkadaşlarıyla müzikal izlemeye gitmeyi seviyor.
They rehearsed for the musical in the school auditorium every day.
Müzikal için her gün okulun konferans salonunda prova yaptılar.
He bought tickets for the musical because his sister sings.
Kız kardeşi şarkı söylediği için müzikale bilet aldı.
That there had been abuse in my family, but it was mostly musical in nature.
And with the bags I have under my eyes, unless the musical is about little old ladies, I don't have a chance in hell.
Sir Richard Attenborough for his musical based on the life of Mother Teresa.
This piano brings to mind that this is the part of the White House where you have the musical affairs.
Well, I don't imagine that it is a field that the musical archaeologists would find.
Pair.
for what promises to be a day of astounding musical, theatrical, and dancing talent.
We're chanting because two people in my group had brought musical instruments, a flute and a drum, which of course are sacred instruments.
Listen, the best advice anybody ever gave me, I was writing a libretto for a musical version of Satirica.
Sit back and enjoy the musical stylings of Timothy Green.
This is the first real workshop that this musical has ever had.
Yerli, ana dili olan.
Native. My neighbor is a native speaker of Spanish and very friendly.
Komşum İspanyolca ana dili olan biri ve çok cana yakın.
She feels proud to be a native of this small island town.
Küçük ada kasabasının yerlisi olduğu için gurur duyuyor.
The museum hired a native guide to explain local history clearly.
Müze, yerel tarihi açıkça anlatması için yerli bir rehber tuttu.
Tierras marginadas, species native to Southeast Asia, commonly known as the water strider.
You know, the Native Americans believe they held this mystical connection with the moon, thereby the name.
So thank you, O wise one, from the island of tall buildings, for teaching us native folk how it is.
The native population are little more than savages, in spite of my efforts to rescue them from extinction.
She trained with this sorcerer, Everett K. White Owl, who's part Welsh and part Native American Indian.
Thinking of Pizarro and the Incas, Columbus and the Native Americans, and the list goes on.
Frankly, you are an offense to true Native Americans, and if you have nothing better to offer...
All right, all right.
In the first Stab movie, what Woodsboro native was introduced as the franchise's main character?
Whose native green must arch above the earth's obscene corrupting love.
I'm perfectly willing to concede Mr. Devereaux's contribution to his native state, Your Honor.
Fiziksel, bedensel.
Physical. She prefers physical activities like walking in the park.
Parkta yürümek gibi fiziksel aktiviteleri tercih eder.
The doctor said he needs more physical rest after surgery.
Doktor, ameliyattan sonra fiziksel olarak daha fazla dinlenmesi gerektiğini söyledi.
Students had a physical test to measure their fitness today.
Öğrenciler bugün fiziksel uygunluklarını ölçmek için bir teste girdiler.
If we define it as purely physical, then it means a pattern of vibrations in the air.
And then I knew that there would be a confrontation over getting physical.
Then, maybe we should hold off on the physical part for a while.
All of the defendants claim that they were subjected to physical and mental abuse while under police custody.
Physical exercises and tricks are important, but what you're asking will only deal with the surface of the problem.
Now, since you don't have a connection to your body, you will have to tune back into your physical surroundings.
And the time you fed me caviar, I was in physical pain.
Hospital stay will range from 5 to 8 days, followed by 9 to 12 months of physical therapy.
The contents of that envelope and his possession of it were our only physical evidence.
And I presume that is how it learns of the various physical conditions that it imitates.
Romantik, duygusal.
Romantic. The movie had a romantic scene that made me smile.
Filmde beni gülümseten romantik bir sahne vardı.
She wrote a romantic letter and hid it under the book.
Romantik bir mektup yazdı ve onu kitabın altına sakladı.
They planned a romantic dinner by candlelight after work.
İş çıkışı mum ışığında romantik bir akşam yemeği planladılar.
I've got tons of exotic destinations, faraway places, custom designed for a romantic weekend getaway.
Are you ready for the most exciting, amazing, and romantic week of your entire lives?
Which would be completely romantic and amazing, except when I asked him where he was today, he said he was hanging out with a friend.
Sylvia Plath, interesting poetess whose tragic suicide was misinterpreted as romantic by the college girl mentality.
Exactly, but the new Kara is careful, aware that holiday parties are synonymous with romantic expectations.
I was with Paul for a few nights because he's romantic and he speaks French and...
delusion that Dr. Kick has some sort of romantic attraction towards her and that she should have one towards him.
For the rest of you, as a reward for making it this far, I'm going to take you to a quiet, romantic little spot I like to call WrestleMania.
You are a romantic, Catherine, and once more about to be married.
You are protecting a complete stranger based on some childishly romantic notion that people are also happily married. They don't want to kill each other.
Sosyal, arkadaş canlısı.
Sociable. My sister is very sociable and makes friends easily.
Kız kardeşim çok sosyal, kolayca arkadaş ediniyor.
He became more sociable after joining the local club.
Yerel kulübe katıldıktan sonra daha sosyal biri oldu.
Our new neighbor seems sociable and often invites us over.
Yeni komşumuz arkadaş canlısı gibi görünüyor ve sık sık bizi evine davet ediyor.
I find that polishing my interactions in order to make them sociable requires a tremendous effort.
It's getting so it's impossible to have a little sociable conversation around here.
You have got to learn to be more sociable.
Hey, I am being more sociable here than any...
Well, we both did, but only in the car, just to be sociable.
He wasn't very sociable, but he's quite a good doctor, I think.
Alice can be very sociable and attractive when she has a mind to be.
She's a lot more sociable than she was. Or she's,
He's barely been sociable, so.
Everybody has you.
Not money, just a nice sociable bet.
Story time! Layla moved to London to study English and music. Her new roommate, Anna, was a native speaker who grew up in the city. Layla loved the noisy streets, the buskers, and the musical energy of the underground stations. Every morning she took a long walk along the river to wake up her body with some light physical exercise. At first, she felt shy, but Anna was very sociable and always invited her to meet new people. One Friday night they went to a small bar with live jazz. The singer told romantic stories between songs, and the lights were soft and warm. Layla relaxed when she saw that everyone was friendly and open. A man named Luis asked if he could sit at their table and join the conversation. He was a sociable language teacher who loved meeting students from other countries. They talked about their favorite musical instruments, and Layla said she wanted to learn the saxophone. Luis suggested a class that mixed physical movement with music, like dance and simple boxing steps. Over the next weeks, they met often, first as friends, then in a more romantic way. Layla still worked hard on her English, but now she had native friends, musical nights, physical training, and a growing romantic connection in her new life.
Hey, if this was helpful, hit like and subscribe. Let's keep learning together.